Welcome back. It's Jason Robert with the Hitchmen podcast. We are talking all things dating, all things relationship. I'm a matchmaker, dating coach here in New York City, have clients all over the world. And today, we're starting season 2 of this podcast, and we're going to do something a little bit different on this episode. We're going to do some Q&As. So we're going to we've had some people, message us and ask some questions. And so we're going to kind of bring that aspect of dating and relationships and letting you guys get involved with this season a little bit more. So I got some fun questions that you guys have asked, and we're going to, give you some perspectives of, some things I would do, do's and don'ts, and just have some fun with it. So we're going to start off with a couple questions here. We got guys asking, girls asking. The first one we're going to start with is, I've gone out with a guy for 3 dates and I still don't feel a spark. He checks most of my boxes. Should I move on or keep trying? So love this question. I think my advice to this question would be to keep going out with him, but maybe add in some new dynamics. Maybe not just one-on-one dates. Maybe introduce him to your friends or go out with a group, because sometimes you'll see a different side of someone when they're out in a group setting or they're interacting with different people. If he's checking a lot of the boxes that you're already looking for, then I don't think it's something that you should just throw away. I think it's someone that you should try to, kind of develop even more of a relationship with. Maybe it's a friendship. Maybe it's something that, will develop into something more romantic. So I think that group setting is the best way to kind of bring it back and kind of give it more of a try. I think, offering a little past experience of myself, I think when I'm with my partner one-on-one, I can be very serious. I can be kind of, someone that's running the household. But when you get me out with my buddies, my college soccer buddies that I played with, my friends here in the city, I can kind of brings out a little bit of my silliness that, gives a different aspect of my life, and we talk about different things, and that is a different way to see a different side of someone. So give them my advice to this question: give them another shot, keep them around, and just use and experience them in different ways. Okay, so next question. I'm looking for a serious relationship, but it seems like everyone just wants to hook up. What do I do? This is a really good question. I think this is something that a lot of people deal with right now in the hookup culture of online dating, or, things, people not wanting to take dating as seriously. I think there's 2 answers to this question. I think it's all about the people you're surrounding yourself with. If you're meeting people out in the wild, if you're going to bars, I think that putting your intentions out there and meeting people out in the wild, you should definitely, from the get-go, let people know, hey, I'm not just looking for a hookup, I'm looking for a serious relationship. That allows you to kind of not waste time and energy. And I know that can be scary when you first meet someone, but I think laying it all out there early is kind of sometimes, something that allows that person to make the decision, hey, I'm looking for a serious relationship too, or actually I'm just looking for a hookup buddy, and then you can go your separate ways. I think part 2 of my advice would be, where are you? What dating apps are you on? Are you working with a matchmaker? Are you, getting set up by your friends? That's another, idea that I've had, and I've kind of been pushing my friends that, don't want to work with me one-on-one, but, have a family member, have a friend set you up with someone, because they've already kind of done the vetting for you. It's that old school way of, dating with, people would arrange marriages, or, I'm not saying go with the arranged marriage, but I feel like, family members or friends are a good way to meet people that, are a little bit more serious and not are just looking to hook up. But I think the first and foremost is always being honest with the person from the get-go. And if they're not so into that, and they feel like, oh, I'm just looking for a hookup, then you say bye. Next question. I'm dating a guy. Oh, the guy I'm dating is friends with his ex. Is that a red flag? I say no. I think this is a really interesting question because I have never been able to be friends with my exes, and that's something I've really been trying to work on. But I think if you're able to keep a friendship out of a relationship, it's okay. I think it just really depends on the energy of that relationship. If it feels more flirtatious, if you feel like when they're around each other, you still feel energy that they could still be into each other, that could be a red flag. But if it feels like a platonic friendship that they just kind of kept alive, I don't think that's such a bad thing. This might be something that you also have to talk about and be honest about. Hey, this is a little bit out of my comfort zone. I just want to make sure that all of, those feelings are done and you guys aren't, you still don't have feelings for that person. And I think that's sometimes hard to have that honest conversation because you might not hear the answer you want. But like I said before, it's all about being open and honest and communicating. And when you communicate, you're going to hear either what you want to hear or you don't, but at least you get the answer. So I think that's my advice for that. Okay, next question. This is from someone that's married. Me and my husband have been married for 5 years and we have a child together, and we've kind of lost our sex life. What are some tips to help reignite that part of our relationship? So my advice to this, as someone who's been in a long-term relationship, is you have to keep it spicy. You have to plan those date nights. You have to get all dressed up and take time to just be, husband and wife, not father, not mother, not, parent. Get a babysitter, send the kid to his parents or a friend's and have a date night. Get all dressed up, look sexy, go have some drinks. I think being creative and reigniting, your life before you were a parent is an interesting way to kind of get that sex life back. And I think the other side of it is it's making time for that. I think what happens sometimes, my sisters have kids, and I remember in the beginning, their first child especially, they allowed him to sleep in bed with them. For me, that's a no-no, because I think what happens then is, you become like 3 in a bed, and, that's not the space. So it's really taking time to be husband and wife and allow your children to, have time away from you. I think that's a really good way to ignite, some sexy time, because it's important to have sexy time. It's important to, kind of role play a little bit, have fun with it, be a little spicy, play around, because love is supposed to be funny and silly and sexy, and you have to be creative with it. And if you just kind of get into a rut, that's probably because maybe you're not putting enough energy into it. So I love that question, and I hope you spicing up that sex life a little bit. What is the best way to convert a first date into a second date? Great question. So my advice to this is to, one, be yourself. Going into a first date, I know sometimes you can be nervous, and I think though that energy kind of comes out, but it's important to always be yourself on that first date, but also go into that first date with serious questions, being able to really get to know that person, having fun, being silly, but also, being able to talk about real life things you're looking for. Because I think, like we talk about a lot with my clients, if your first date, if you talk about where you live in the city, or where you live in the city you live in, or what restaurants you like to go to, or where you like to travel, that all is surface level stuff, and you don't actually get to know that person sitting across from you. You don't actually get to know anything about them, their family, how they were raised, similar values that you have that would allow you to then actually want to see them again. If you leave the date feeling like, oh, I know what restaurants they like to eat at, where their friends went on vacation last month, you feel like, okay, that's great, but there's actually not a lot about that person that you got. So I think ask good questions, dive in. The other thing is also be sexy. I think that is another aspect of it that, put an outfit together, really show up to the date looking your best. I remember when I was dating, I used to have like different outfits for different nights that I was feeling a certain way. So sometimes I would show up in a suit and, kind of pull up my finance bro energy. And then other times I would dress like more like an athlete in a tank top. And then other times I would, dress in leather. I would be dressing to my best, but also bringing a different energy, which that can kind of be fun because that pulls out a kind of a different side of yourself, a different character. We all have these characters inside, and when we go home, we're singing and we're dancing around in our socks and using our hairbrush as a microphone. That bringing that silliness out on a date and that sexiness, it will also help you get from first date to second date. So I think that another side of this too is from my fellas, from my guys out there, ask questions. I think a lot of feedback that I get from my friends and clients is that I felt like I did all the talking and that you didn't step up to the plate and ask them good questions. I know that my guys that I work with, they definitely ask good questions because I force them to do that. But also we talk about that, but be interested in them, because when you ask questions for someone and you really get to know them on a deeper level, that's also going to bring a different side of you out, right? And you're going to become, we're talking about a different subject that is going to allow you to kind of get into that person's brain a little bit, inside their heart, inside their emotions. And it helps you get to know them a little bit better. So you feel like, I actually want to see that person again. So I think guys, girls, ask good questions when you're on dates. Think of things that are important to you. Have your silly, funny things that you like to talk about, but also have these questions that are more important to you about family, about values, about things you're looking for in a partner. And that goes also into the idea of preparing for a date. Write things down, write things in your notes that, when you're on the way to the date, when you're in the car, when you're riding the subway, or when you're driving, wherever you are, prepare yourself for the date. We talk about that, with my clients. What is your dating strategy? Those things go into it. What are the things that I like to talk about? What are the questions I actually want to ask the person I'm going on a date with? Because that's the information I want to get out of them. So ask questions, but also ask questions that are important to you. Okay, let's continue on. What are your thoughts on long distance dating? I have so many questions, and I have so many times that I've done long distance. Long distance dating is definitely difficult. I think that it depends on what part of your life that you're in. And I think a lot of it depends on your financial state. If you're able to afford to fly, if you're able to afford to, put yourself on a schedule. I have friends that, one lives in New York and one lives in Florida, and they do Monday through Thursday apart, and they do Thursday through Sunday together every weekend. They obviously have the financial means to do that. So I think that is helpful. But I think if you're living, across the country from each other and you see each other once every couple months, it's going to put a lot of strain on your relationship. But it's not impossible. I think it's all kind of what you put in is what you get out is the idea here. But I don't know if I'm necessarily so pro long-term relationships in full transparency, because I just think it's a lot. And I know that for me, that would probably not work. I like quality time. That's my, love language. And I love to do activities, and I love to run around and, do things with my partner. So I think it would be tough for me, but it depends on your personality, and it depends on what you're actually looking for in a relationship. But my advice would be try to find someone that you live in the same city as. It makes it just a lot easier. Oh, I love this one. I saw a really cute guy at the bar the other night, but didn't have the confidence to approach him. How do I get guys to approach me on a night out? So funny, because I just had a night out with my client last night. And what I do with my clients when I go out with them is I force them to talk to someone at the bar. It's part of my exercise that kind of forces them to get out of their comfort zone a little bit, and I see how they react. I think body language is one thing. Kind of being open in a room and in a space is a good way to be approached. I think eye contact. I was reading an article about how when you're out and about, there's 8 points of contact that you have to have with someone to kind of show them that you're interested, or, whether that's eye contact, whether it's opening your body to them, where it's, a gesture that you make in their direction that gets them kind of looking back at you. So I think it's the idea of looking and feeling open to having someone approach you. That's one thing, because sometimes people get nervous and they feel like, oh, that person did not look approachable, and so I was nervous to talk to them. So I think the second thing is, I love the idea of shooting your shot. Have a couple pickup lines that you have if maybe you want to, buy someone a drink, or say, ask them, hey, can I buy you a drink? That's a good way to kind of start a conversation. Complimenting someone on their outfit, not being inappropriate, but I love your shoes, or I love your jacket, or I love your dress, or those little things. Complimenting people and not being creepy is another good way. And then I think the third piece of advice I would give in this is, don't go out in huge groups. I think having, 2 to 3 people in a group, if you're going out to actually meet people, is enough. I think sometimes if you're in a group of 6 or 7 guys or girls, it becomes a little bit intimidating for someone to actually approach you. So find those friends that, are single and looking to go out and meet people, and surround yourself with them, and leave the other group behind for another night that you go out all together. So I think those are kind of my 3 kind of pitches and advices to going out and meeting people in the wild. My client, I was so impressed by the way that she actually just turned and was confident enough to just start talking to someone. And for me, I think it's the idea of, who cares if they turn you down? I know that's such a hard thing for people, and we don't love rejection. But when I was single, I would shoot my shot all the time. And if someone turned me down, I guess I would say, oh, well, at least I tried. And at least also, you don't have that thing in the back of your mind of like, oh, I wish I would have done that. Or I wish, how do I know if they like me or they don't? If you ask or you start talking to them, they'll give you the energy. And it can be, something, a simple question is also easy. Oh, like, what are you drinking? Or what's your favorite drink on the menu? Or have you been to this place before? Simple, easy questions that engage, because also what you'll find is that other people are also looking. If you're out and about, you're probably looking to meet other people and have conversations with other people. So they'll probably be open to having that conversation with you. Okay, so my next question is from a 30-year-old male. Is it healthy to see someone too frequently that I just started dating for the first 2 months? So this is a great question. I think that there definitely is a way to take things slowly in the beginning when you're first getting to know someone. Spending too much time and not having the ability to recharge your battery or have alone time or have time with your friends is really important. And especially when you're just getting to know someone, it's kind of okay to, miss them a little bit, look forward to the next time you're seeing them. And also planning, a date or 2 a week, I think is perfect. I think seeing each other 4 or 5 times a week is a little bit much in the first 2 months. There needs to be that a little bit of pursuit. You kind of need, you both, have to, because I do believe in both sexes putting in the energy and pursuing someone else, because that shows the other person that you're interested in, that you want to see them. So I think taking it slowly is definitely the best way to put it, but I think it's being able to communicate that and say, hey, I'm really liking getting to know you. I'm not dating anyone else, but I think I just want to take this slowly. I want to, make sure that I'm spending enough time with my friends and also getting time to recharge my own battery. So then when you're spending time with them one-on-one, you feel like you're in the best mindset. You're excited to see them. You're not feeling overwhelmed, and, you're putting your best foot forward. Because in that first couple months, it's really important to lay the groundwork of what your relationship could look like. But good luck in your, month 3. This sounds exciting. Okay, so I feel like that was a fun little Q&A here. I think it's fun that you guys are able to kind of write in and kind of get you involved in the podcast. And we're going to have more opportunities for you guys to write in. You're always able to write me a message on Instagram at the Hitchmen Jason. send it in the DMs, or send me an email at j@thehitchman if you have more questions that you want me to answer, and we'll do more of these Q&As. Have a good rest of your day.